The swap from chasing oil leaks to chasing adventures is finally upon us, and I could not be more excited. Just getting everything prepped and tested for the most remote season on Destination Adventure yet, and I'm excited to say we're adding a new member to the adventure family. But this is not just any regular piece of equipment. This is a Japanese engineered 22-pound, two-stroke, air-cooled outboard motor with the power equivalency of 1.2 Clydesdale horses. But before I can give it the Destination Adventure seal of approval, it needs some testing. Gotta make sure it's not gonna rip the transom right off the boat. For a winter that never even really showed up this year, it sure is dragging on a long time. I had a whole adventure plan today, but the only lake without ice on it is Williams Lake. So I think the plan is we'll go hit Mach 1 with the new outboard, do some testing, then dive butt first into a plan B. Which one, launch it? Maybe. Yeah. This little outboard is comically small. A bit of a wind going down the lake from the launch, so I'm gonna just do a little test fire here. Make sure she's gonna at least start up for me. I am feeling quite optimistic about this little outboard, relatively pessimistic about the launch. There is no neutral, no reverse. There's a good chance I'm gonna end up in the cabbage. The name of the game today is gonna be speed. Okay, so the goal is 4 knots. I was out here yesterday for the first test with my dad. The motor was not running very good, and we could get about 3.2 knots. Put in an extra 5 horsepower spark plug, 10 horsepower mix oil, high octane fuel. Headwind right now, doing 3.2 knots. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Well, I know that some people are gonna say a 1.2 horse is not enough for a backup motor, but space is limited for me, and I want this thing, well actually I need this thing to live in the boat all the time, because I don't have another spot in the rig for another outboard. So I built this little bracket. I think it's gonna be a great little backup actually. Can maintain 3 knots without a problem, even with a headwind. The reason we're shooting for 4 knots is just so that I can calculate how long it will take me to get somewhere in an emergency situation. And I need to know how much tide I can go against. If I'm going through some narrows, 4 knots is not gonna be enough. But for your average situation, it'll do the trick. I got her purring like a kitten. passed every test with the exception of the fuel test. We ran out of fuel. I suppose it's a good opportunity to see how fast I can go rowing. Yeah, I think we can officially call the emergency outboard a win. First of all, it's like way more fun. Ready for takeoff! And rowing, I'm doing 1.3 knots. Pretty slow. Ran into a gentleman last week when I was touring out west that put me onto a pretty hot lead. Got my trusty BRMB. We're gonna drop the boat trailer and then head out and see if we can navigate the back road maze. Find a little piece of history.
She's the innocence of hope, the solitude of fear. Legs that hold you close, but never hold you near.
This week's trip also takes us over Rudy Johnson Bridge, but to keep things fresh and spicy, we will take a different route there, and then we'll be branching off shortly after.
She's just gotten up with it all.
One of my most frequent questions is, how many drones have I crashed or lost? Well, I've crashed one drone many times. I've never lost a drone until right now, and it's officially at the bottom of Williams Lake, which is a total friggin' bummer. It seems the only store in Williams Lake that stocks drones is closed today. So the old drone's coming out of retirement. Look at the props on her. Can't believe she was still flying. Gonna throw on a fresh set of props. She'll be ready to whip. When you're remote solo traveling, it's important to be prepared. You always need basic first aid kit, drone first aid kit. Don't know whose job it was to tighten those new props, but they were loose. You know what, there's a chance there's something in the motor. But, should fly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Welcome to Destination Adventure Flight 69. If you take a look to the left, you'll see a large sandy cliff known locally as the Ashtray. And below that is Williams Creek, making its way from, of course, Williams Lake down to the Fraser River. Just past a mill called West Fraser. Used to work there back in the day when I was debating whether or not I wanted to bring a turkey sandwich for lunch or a rat poison sandwich. Finally off the pavement and onto the dirt. Good thing too. Probably was hardly even wearing out the tires. Pretty basic navigation plan today. Looking at a couple rights, couple lefts, couple of wrong turns for sure, and then basically we're there.
Blood coming in, underneath my skin, coming in, oh Lord. Blood coming in, underneath my skin, coming in. Blood coming in, underneath my skin.
Alrighty, route. Taking the Shoelace Express bring in the bear spray, even though I shouldn't need it. But when you're in the woods, you just never know what critters you might come across. I know we're at the right turn, but I do not know how far of a hike it's gonna be. Hey! Don't get stolen. Shouldn't be too bad though. I wonder if they're gonna start logging in here. Looks like it was actually plowed once in the winter and then brushed out. We're looking for an old road. And if I was an old road, I'd look something like this. That road immediately went nowhere, but while we're trekking through the woods, I'll tell you what we're looking for, and I'll tell you the story I was told. After World War I, a lot of the veterans were gifted parcels of land, and a lot of them were out here in the Chilcotin. A lot of folks couldn't make a go of it, so they sold the land, and a lot of Germans bought those parcels of land back in the day. One of them is still sitting out here, relatively untouched, and it has some neat things in it that I would like to see. So that's what we're looking for. Whether or not we're gonna find it is another story entirely. There's actually a creek going through here. Them old timers, they knew how to homestead. If there's running water close by, that's where you'd put up a home. Oh, impeccable timing, I can see it. Pretty unconventional way of getting in here. The directions I was given did not involve getting my feet soaking wet in the creek, but we're here and it's pretty flippin' rad. Surprised they would build so close to the marsh. This really does not look that old. Well, you can tell with the roof it is quite old. Nice notching though. Far from basic. Wow, look at that feed trough. That old chinking is just in perfect condition. Kind of surprised a little bit with this build. You can see they went super old school with the logs, didn't square them off. It's just rounded and then you put chinking in between. But they went with a pretty high-end notch on the end, instead of just squaring it off. Probably an old tack room. I wonder what they used for their shakes. It's not cedar country out here. It almost just looks like bark. Okay, this is what I was told about. These bricks are made out of clay. Look at that. Just hand-packed clay. That's unbelievable. The stove has been removed. Other than that, pretty untouched. One swallow's nest. Couple of old beds. And most likely, the whole wall would have been covered in cardboard. I don't want to peel that off, but I'm curious what it says in behind there. You see these nails? What were they hanging on these back in the day? Pretty simple living though. Well, this one's in pretty rough shape. And it looks like they had a sod roof on it. Oh, so this looks more like the house. I mean, it's sinking really bad. When you're homesteading, nothing can really get wasted. Anything you can repurpose is a success. Look at this old tobacco tin. Someone's cut it out, and then you can see a hole at the back where I'm assuming they would have nailed it onto a wall. Just like a little cup or a shelf. Look at that. Not even orange juice, it's orange nectar. And that doorknob is wood. I'd like a closer look at that wooden doorknob. Everybody look away. Look at this beautiful wooden doorknob. Held up just remarkably well. I like that whole mechanism on there, actually. Wow, that's awesome. Had a real bed in there. These old farm homes are really interesting because oftentimes they'd start with a small house or shack while they're building a better one. Or families expand and they build a second one. It's a completely different build technique. Wow, imagine what they would have had to go through to get these big logs up here. No crane, no power tools. Peanut butter, 1 pound. Here's an interesting item of some kind. You know what, I think that might be the old stove. Because I can see the draft right here. Yeah, it is. I can't believe I didn't notice this when I was walking around. And I'm not sure what it is. Some type of framework and milled lumber. It was all wired together. I'm assuming the other side would have looked the same. This is just a fence going around here, but I'm curious what this would have been. Took me a while to get out here today. We're gonna be running out of daylight, but lots of stuff to see that I missed when I arrived. Must have been excited or something. Dominion glass. It's a Canadian jar. That's kind of neat. found a boot. It almost looks like a cowboy boot. Oh, the ground is frozen. At first I thought I ripped the boot trying to get it out of there, but it's just missing the whole top piece. It is a cowboy boot, but I've never seen one with laces on the top. Anyways, I think it's about time to look at another thing. This is an old school lunchbox, a tin lunchbox. I mean, it could be a toolbox or something. Leather strap, still hanging in there. Just loading up, getting ready to go. Noticed a couple more things here. First of all, this old door has 4 push pins in it. Wonder what was hung up there. A letter, a sign, who knows? And I'd like to know if anybody knows what this is. I'm kind of thinking some type of water catch system into the cabin, but I don't really know. There's nothing on this side. Not sure what that is. But if you have a guess, please let me know. So curious if there's fish in this little stream. Fair amount of water going through there. I'm seeing something from the edge of the pond. It looks like a big sheet of tin. So maybe a food cache. Keep the bears away. Or secret liquor stash. Keep the wife away. I'm thinking these are out of a battery. Probably shouldn't be mucking with them. Okay, seriously, you guys, we gotta get out of here. I'm gonna get stranded in the dark. What a great day, start to finish. The directions I had were pretty reliable, but you just never know with these hidden spots that are often not visited for decades at a time. But it worked out even better than I could have imagined. Nevertheless, I'm ready to call her a day. Nice to see the rig back in her natural habitat, the woods, and nice to see that the maintenance and upgrades are working out. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Destination Adventure, everybody. As always, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, and I'll catch you on the next one.